The ESPN reporter with a direct line to the CFP committee just laid out Miami's path to the playoff.
You are Locked On Canes, your daily podcast on the Miami Hurricanes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
So there does appear to be a path for Miami to get into the CFP. It's not the path that I would choose, but the path does exist. We'll explain. I am Alex Dono, University of Miami alumnus, co-host of Locked On ACC and host of Postgame on the Hurricanes Radio Network. And thank you so much to the everydayers for making Locked On Canes your first listen and for making the Locked On Podcast Network #1. We're available free wherever you get your podcasts. We're free on YouTube. We're part of this #1 Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create your account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. On this episode, we'll talk about a new crystal ball. Miami projected to get a top blue-chip defensive player before National Signing Day, which is tomorrow. We'll put the 2025 season in perspective. Whether Miami gets into the playoff or not, there's a lot to talk about, and we will explain Miami's CFP path. But folks, it is Tuesday, and you know what that means?
Yep.
The truth teller is
I'm
here.
Back.
Bruce, are you expecting?
Let's do some more controversial topics, but I'm ready to go.
Hey, we're always ready. So, I mean, there is tonight are not the final rankings, but the second to last CFP rankings are going to come out tonight around 7:00. How you feeling? What do you think Miami's going to be tonight?
What are they now? 12?
12.
And they got to be 10, correct?
They've got to be 10 by next Sunday. That's when the final rankings
Right, so
come out.
Heather Dinich comes out and says what you just said before, that there's a path. Alabama has to lose to Georgia, and BYU needs to lose to Texas Tech. They are going to be beaten by Texas Tech. I'm not so sure about Georgia beating Alabama. I've watched Georgia this season. Their offense is very inconsistent. The quarterback's okay. He's not great, but they're not scoring a lot of points. And they're involved in some pretty close games. So I'm not sold on them yet. But they're playing in Athens, correct?
No, it's the SEC championship game.
Oh,
I think
they're
it's
in Atlanta. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
Well,
Atlanta.
look, that's the game we really have to watch because I expect Texas Tech to win. If those two things happen, we'll be a 10. We'll be a number 10 or maybe higher. We've discussed 100 times why we're better than Notre Dame. Not only did we beat them, but we beat teams that they beat by a larger margin. As I explained to you off the air a few minutes ago, they were 0-2. We were never 0-2. We were 5-0, then we lost, then we won, then we lost. How do you go from 0-2 and still stay in the top 20s beyond me?
Yeah.
I don't care who they are. They should have been 25, 30. They should have been in the top 25. I'm sorry. But everybody, it's Notre Dame. They'll be back. So they did win the rest of the games. But how the hell do you jump Miami? Miami went from 2 to 9 and from 9 to 16. And their losses were not consecutive. So it's just disturbing. But as I said to you also, Alabama and Notre Dame are college football royalty. They have this glow around them, and they really need to be beaten to get knocked out. Now, if Alabama loses, I think they're done. They're not going to stay ahead of us. They can't. We showed up the last 4 weeks. We did pretty damn well in those games, which is what I was screaming about the whole season. You know that.
Heather Dinich, ESPN reporter who reports directly on the committee. And a lot of times, people don't like what she has to say, but I always say about Heather, don't kill the messenger. She's not on the committee. She's reporting what the committee tells her, okay? Now, she did outline, like you talked about, Bruce, the path for Miami to get in. I don't like this path because for me, logically, Miami should be in front of Notre Dame with 4 common opponents who Miami and Notre Dame all beat. Miami's got the head-to-head against Notre Dame. The strength of record, they're separated by 1 spot. So Miami logically should be ranked in front of Notre Dame. You can even make an argument about Alabama because Miami's got a win against a common opponent who Alabama lost to. Yeah, BYU's 11-1, but BYU faced 1 playoff caliber team and they got blown out, and their non-conference schedule consisted of Portland State, Stanford, and ECU. So I don't think Miami should be ranked as low as they are. However, I am predicting, and I hope I'm wrong, that tonight when the new CFP rankings come out, Miami is not going to move up. They're still going to be number 12, and they've got to be number 10 by next Sunday. So here's what Heather Dinich says about Miami on the bubble. And again, this is the reporter who's got the closest relationship with the CFP committee. She writes about Miami. The Hurricanes will still be the committee's highest-ranked ACC team on Tuesday night, but they would be excluded if the playoff were today to make room for a conference champion. That means the ACC winner could knock the league's best team out of the playoff. Shame on the ACC for their terrible tiebreakers, by the way.
Them. They didn't play Duke this
year. Right,
exactly.
And then she continues, the committee isn't ignoring Miami's head-to-head win against Notre Dame, but it also isn't only, they are, by the way, but she says it also isn't comparing the Canes only to the Irish. Miami also needs to earn an edge against Alabama and BYU, two teams the committee has deemed better than Miami to this point. Then she continues, if both of those teams lose their respective conference championship games, it would open the door for Miami to possibly enter the 12-team field with Notre Dame. So, Bruce, she makes it very clear that Notre Dame is definitely getting in. So Miami needs to jump teams that are not named Notre Dame, which is ridiculous. She claims that the committee is weighing the head-to-head when they're really not. But she also, Bruce, which is significant, right? Because the committee has said in the past that they don't want to penalize teams for losing in conference championship games. But in this case, Dinich says they might, right? That if Alabama and BYU both lose, that's Miami's path to get in. And like you said, BYU is probably going to get steamrolled by Texas Tech. That already happened in the regular season. Bama against Georgia, I don't know. Bama has had their number. They beat them in the regular season, so maybe. But Georgia is, I believe, favored in that game.
Yeah, that's the game we have to watch because I have full faith in Texas Tech. But, when you talk about this head-to-head stuff and whatever, the whole thing, it just seems so absurd and so ridiculous. It's just everything you just said about we beat these teams that Notre Dame beat. We beat them worse. We beat Notre Dame. We're playing better. And I don't think any of those teams that are on that bubble would want to play Miami at all because they know we killed them. We're much better than BYU. They've done nothing, but their record is they only have one loss. And again, I've said this before, and all these people have said it in these comments. We only did it to ourselves. We should never have lost to SMU. Louisville, I get. They're a pretty good offensive team. They have a lot of talent. I don't think SMU had much talent on offense. And their quarterback was barely able to walk. And yet we didn't sack them, and we looked terrible in that game. We just looked inept, unprepared, and just like a zombie. We just walked around the field. It's terrible. Not to mention the 5,000 penalties we had against us because the refs hate our guts. So we have everything against us. We always have, and we always will. Always we will. But we did it to ourselves. If Alabama and BYU don't lose, we did it to ourselves. What about this? What would happen if those teams lose? And although I've kind of heard that it's not going to happen, Texas, who just beat Texas A&M, they could jump us too.
Which would be absurd, okay? Because, all right, Texas, you want to talk about comparative games. Texas lost to 4-8 Florida, who Miami beat, by the way. Texas, a couple of 5-7 teams needed overtime to beat those 5-7 teams, right? Texas struggled to beat UTEP earlier this year. So now, Bruce, when you talk about glamour brands, Bruce, if the Longhorns get into the playoff, that's all that is. That's just, oh my God, Texas Longhorns, Matthew McConaughey, oil money. Royalty.
They're one of the royalty teams. They are.
Yeah, that would be all that is. You know what's fun, and you've noticed over the last few days now that like the regular season is over, because I think a lot of people were assuming, Miami had the head-to-head win against Notre Dame, but Miami's probably going to lose again. Like they're probably going to lose in the cold weather in Pittsburgh, and we're not even have to worry about this. But now that both teams finished the season 10-2, you notice people, even Colin Cowherd, who hates Miami, is coming out saying Miami should be in over Notre Dame. Booger McFarland, Andy and Ari from On3.
What about the bald-headed mongoose? Because he
Paul Feinbaum. Yeah, Paul Feinbaum is lobbying for Miami. Nick Saban is lobbying for Miami to get in.
Our governor.
The governor. Yeah, you want to hear what the governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis, said? He said,
Not
if
really,
Notre
bro.
Dame gets in and Miami doesn't, it will further erode the importance of the regular season. I'm okay with both getting in, he said, but identical records should mean the head-to-head is the tiebreaker if you have to choose between them, he said. And so, yeah, and remember, not only did Miami and Notre Dame play each other and Miami won, they played 4 common opponents. Both beat all 4 of those common opponents. Miami beat 3 of them by a bigger margin than Notre Dame beat them. So you have comparative schedules there. And Notre Dame fans will say, well, gosh, you shouldn't have lost to 2 terrible teams. Okay, Miami's 2 losses were to 8-4 teams. Don't act like they lost to FCS teams. So Miami lost to 8-4 teams. Notre Dame's best win was against a 9-3 team.
Yep. That's
this mental gymnastics is crazy.
That's what I've been saying. And Alabama lost to Florida State coming off what, a 2-10 season?
Yeah.
What was the spread on that one? It must have, and not only did they lose,
Bama was favored, I believe, by about 17.5 points.
Right, and they got slaughtered. They were never really in the game.
Nope, they weren't.
So, yeah, you know what? We're talking to a brick wall. This is the way it's. Next year, we'll be doing the same show right around the same date. It'll be the same.
God, I hope not. When we come back, because I know Bruce is really, and you got some great points and some passion on the season in review for 2025, because Miami had some standout performers this year, including some true freshmen. In fact, one of those true freshmen being so electric is another reason why Miami should be in the college football playoff.
Everybody wants to see Malachi.
We'll take a look back. You want to keep it locked right here. We got the truth teller with us, and we're only getting started on this brand new episode of Locked On Canes. Folks, the holidays always feel a little easier when you already know the perfect gift, and Omaha Steaks makes it almost too simple. Whether you're treating yourself this season or sending something memorable to family and friends, Omaha Steaks delivers handcrafted perfection right to their door. And this week is the best time to jump in because their cyber sale is here and the deals are huge. Folks, the quality is exactly what you hope for. Incredibly tender steaks, rich flavor, and meals that make hosting or weeknight cooking easier. The variety is underrated. Steaks, burgers, comfort meals, sides, desserts. It's one of those gifts that truly fits anyone. Save big on unforgettable gifts with Omaha Steaks. Visit omahasteaks.com for 50% off site-wide and an extra 20% off select favorites during their cyber sale. And for an additional $35 off, use promo code COLLEGE at checkout. That's omahasteaks.com, promo code COLLEGE. Terms apply. See site for details. Thank you so much for making Locked On Canes your first listen here on this Truth Teller Tuesday. All right, so Bruce, you mentioned Miami had the lull in the middle of the season, October and November 1st, losing a couple of games. Strong start, strong finish. It ended up being, I think, a very good season in hindsight for Carson Beck, who had his struggles in the middle.
Yeah, he had one really bad game against Louisville.
Yeah.
But again, when I think about it in retrospect, they didn't play that well in that game either. They didn't seem prepared for that. And they had a week to get ready. So did Louisville. But I don't know what they did. I know they were out recruiting, and maybe they weren't 100% locked in. But that was a coach's decision to send these guys out and go recruit. And rather than go, I'm sure they practiced. But they didn't do what they've done the last 4 weeks. That's what they needed to do, to mix it up, to use Malachi as a decoy. It worked. And a lot of things work. And Marty Brown, who's played pretty well. They bring in Pringle, who has an extra gear, and they take Lyle out. Fletcher had a good year. He didn't have a great year, but he was tough inside in the red zone.
No, I think he had a really good, considering he missed, 2 or 3 games he missed, and he ended up just under 700 yards. It was 685 yards, 11 total touchdowns, 10 rushing touchdowns, a receiving touchdown. I would say Fletcher had a really good year, and maybe if he'd played the full season, he might have been 1,000 yards.
But the injury forced them to put Pringle in because of the way that Lyle was, and it turned out to be he caught a touchdown, he ran for touchdown, he caught swing passes, he ran tough, he's quick to the hole. He's not like Fletcher is a power back, but he doesn't cut through the hole that much. He does sometimes inside the 5. He's just really a bull. He's amazing what he does. But some of these guys, like we talked about Tony, we talked about Beck. Keontae Scott was fabulous until he got hurt. I said he was the defensive player of the year, in my opinion. Jacoby Thomas played really well. He was all over the field. An excellent guy, but he's not coming back. Messidor had a good year for the most part. He was in the backfield a lot. Bain, I'm not putting him on the list. I don't think he had a great year. His stats aren't so great.
Yeah, I disagree. He was always in the backfield. Now, could he have finished more sacks? Yes, but he was the guy drawing extra attention. He was the guy that was wrecking offensive game plans because he was always disrupting. And I'm glad he finished the season with a sack and a half in a strong game against Pitt. He didn't put up the statistics I expected, but to me, if I think about the headaches that opposing offensive coordinators had scheming around Ruben Bain and the way he was always in the backfield, you could maybe argue that Messidor certainly at times had a better year than Bain, but I still think Bain had a really good year, and he's going to be a top 15 pick.
Okay, well, he's on your list. I'm not putting him on my list. I don't give a damn what you say.
Fair enough.
Okay. Marion had a good year. He really played well. Yeah. He was really good. Pringle, obviously, was really good when he came in. Yeah. Davis was really good. He had a damn good year kicking for us.
Carter Davis, yeah. Quick note on that. 14 for 16 with a long of 53. And Carter Davis, I'm not saying he's better than either Borregales. I'm not saying that. But as a kickoff guy, he actually had a higher percentage of touchbacks than Andy Borregales did. So if you compare that, Carter Davis had a really good year.
Yeah, when he kicked, I wasn't nervous. I had a pretty good feeling he was going to make them all. And one last guy who had a good year overall is Moten. I've always said I like Moten, his body type, and he got in the backfield a lot. I think he's going to play in either the playoff or the bowl game. He's not going to opt out because he needs to show the NFL that he could do this. So I think he's going to be drafted. I just do, Yeah. Another follow-up question. This is the question mark section. We talked about this.
Let's do this.
What do you guys think about? I want your opinions. Stay, go. What do you think? JoJo Trader. Is he in the doghouse? Is he going to get out of the doghouse? I keep hearing about attitude. I have an idea as to what happened and why he wasn't playing that much, but still, you don't want this guy to leave. You want him to get his head together, have a great offseason, show up in the spring and be ready to go and be the number one receiver. And if you have him and Malachi, wow.
Yeah.
And Josh Moore, you got three damn good receivers to do all the aspects.
I think the amount of playing time that JoJo got late in the year, I think is indicative of him being in the plans here for the future. Now, again, he could get some offers from out, you never fully know what guys are going to decide to do, right? I mean, Isaiah Horton had a great year last year. He decided you never know, but I think there's a path for JoJo to stay here, in my opinion.
Okay, now that one pass that he could have caught, that was a high pass, and it deflected for an interception. I don't think that was his fault so much. The ball was high.
I mean,
if it was closer to his body, he would have caught it. He could have had it. Maybe he should have had it, but he didn't. But I'm not going to hold that against him. It's if there's an attitude problem, that's what I hold against him. Because apparently Mario was talking to him for weeks to get his head out of his behind, and he just didn't do it. And I don't know. I mean, I have an idea what the underlying issue was, but I'm not saying it on the air. Anyway, so I think that's whether JoJo comes back for me is important. They got four really good recruits, a 5-star and 3 4-star, but they're kids. Yeah. Not everybody's Malachi Tony, Another question: does Mario go to the portal for a quarterback? I say yes. I have guys telling me, screaming, "Well, what about Coleman? He's undersized. He's a kid.
Well, he's young. I mean,
he can't come in here and start. If he does, that tells you a lot about what's his name, Nickel. Because
Nickel.
And I still think he's too small. That's just my opinion on Luke Nickel. I don't think he's big enough.
I agree. I think they probably go into the portal again for a quarterback because, again, the young guys they really like, but still, Luke Nickel's going to be going into his second year. Darion Coleman's coming into his first year. So, the real question is, Can they find someone in the portal who's better than Emory Williams and Judd Anderson? I think that's the real question. I don't think it's fair to compare the redshirt freshman and the true freshman. I think the question will be, can you find somebody who gives you a better chance to win than your upperclassmen do? And so it's going to depend on who's available and where they want to go, right? I mean, we have our doubts about, Lenora Sellers. Would he necessarily be an upgrade? I like the guy from Arizona State, Sam Levitt, if he leaves, right? So I mean, it's going to depend on who's available.
He would leave after 1 year, even though he has 2 years left. You worry about it then.
Yeah,
that's what I would do, because then you would have Nickel and Coleman in here for another season. Other positions in the portal, I said D tackle. I think we need another linebacker.
Linebacker for sure. They need another linebacker because you're going to be losing Mohamed Toure, Wesley Basaint, Jalen Alderman. You're losing a bunch of guys. You got some good young linebackers, but I think you need to get at least one portal guy.
Right, I agree, and we need probably another safety because Scott's leaving, and
Jacoby Thomas
is leaving.
Yeah. So
I think we need another safety with experience, maybe a wide receiver, because we have a lot of young kids.
Yeah.
And a place kicker, perhaps.
Yeah, because I'm not sure. Like Davis, I know he's played 4 years. Carter Davis. I don't know if he's had I don't know if there's a red shirt in there or not, but he's played 4 years, so I think we do need another kicker.
We need another kicker. Does Dawson return? Or does he say to himself, you know what? I'm doing well here. We've won 10 games 2 years in a row, maybe 11 this year. But if somebody offers him a head coaching job at a decent school at his age, I think he ought to take it. Because if he stays here, he's going to age himself out of being a head coach. If he goes someplace and he wins for 2 years, someone will go after him. It happens all the time.
Yeah.
And finally, are we going to win the ACC next year? Is it finally going to happen? I don't know.
Are they going to let us into the championship game, or are they going to put a 7-5 team over us next year?
They're going to put. Well, I still can't believe Duke. I watched them play. I thought they were.
You think about the absurdity. So Duke, there were 5 teams tied with 6-2 conference records: Miami, Georgia Tech, SMU, Pittsburgh, and Duke. Duke beat none of those other teams in that pool. They actually lost to one of those teams in that pool in Georgia Tech. Their non-conference schedule, an absolute train wreck, and they get in. And Bruce, the ridiculous thing about it, the tiebreaker that got Duke in was winning percentage of conference opponents, not winning percentage of teams that you beat, winning percentage of conference opponents. So the reason why Duke had the edge was Duke played against Georgia Tech, who was 6-2 in conference, and Virginia, who was 7-1 in conference. They lost both of them. But because they played both of them, that gave them the tiebreaker, even though they lost to the 2 good conference teams.
Tiebreaker over who? Us?
Yeah, they had a tiebreaker. They had the 5-way tiebreaker over all of those other teams because their conference opponents had a higher win percentage than anybody else.
The ACC is a joke.
It's an absolute joke.
And they're not. It doesn't seem like they're really fighting for us to get into the playoff. You would think they would do whatever they could. And the referees in this conference, who are abysmal, not just with us on the field, but other teams too, they're horrible. They're horrible.
The ACC, they've sent out some tweets that compare Miami's record to other teams, but then I see the Big 12 commissioner, your Mark, is actively campaigning for BYU, who's on the bubble. I haven't heard a peep out of Jim Phillips, the ACC commissioner. I'm convinced the guy sleeps 24 hours a day. I'm not sure if Jim Phillips exists. I've met the guy in person. I'm not sure if he actually exists. He might be AI, but he's nowhere to be found.
He could be awake, but still be. Well, no, you can't be in a coma when you're awake, but he's in a coma most of the time.
He's in a coma. Yeah,
he's in a coma, a constant coma. Look, I'm excited. If we can get in, that would be incredible. Who would we play if we get in? If Bama and BYU
we could play against somebody like Oregon or Texas A&M. I would think so. Somebody who's outside. Somebody outside, because what is it? Is it the top 4 that get the bye weeks, or somebody outside the top 4?
It's 5 through 12. I think Miami has the potential to go all the way, but they might not put us in.
Exactly.
Does anybody really think BYU's going all the way? Of course not.
No. No, I mean they have one, and we'll see what happens on Sat. If they prove us wrong and beat Texas Tech, I will stand corrected. But they have played one playoff team this year, and they got blown out by that playoff team.
What's
And
Texas
did you see also?
Where's Texas Tech rank?
Texas Tech, they were around 5th. They'll probably move up because Texas A&M lost, so they'll probably move up to the top.
Yeah, so
4.
if they're gonna go and play BYU, or BYU goes to them, and they're gonna lose, and they're gonna lose the bye. Not happening. BYU is not gonna beat Texas Tech.
All right, when we come back on the eve of National Signing Day, Miami has a new crystal ball at a position of need, I believe. You want to keep it locked right here. We're not done yet on this brand new episode of Locked On Canes. Folks, the World Cup is coming back to North America for the first time since 1994. And with 48 teams for the first time ever, it's going to be massive. But let's be honest, actually getting tickets is usually the hardest part. That's why the Gametime app is clutch, finally giving fans a real advantage when it comes to snagging seats. With Gametime, you can track price drops in real time, get alerts when great seats open, and buy tickets the moment they hit the app. It puts the power back in your hands and makes going to the World Cup realistic instead of impossible. Pick a game, tap a section, and have your tickets locked in within minutes. No confusion, no hunting for fine print. Folks, the seat view feature is a game changer, I should say. You literally see the pitch from your exact seat before you buy, and prices include the fees up front, which I love. There are no last-second surprises at checkout. So take the guesswork out of buying World Cup tickets in every match, concert, or event with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, download the app, make an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go! Download the Gametime app today. Thank you so much for making Locked On Canes your first listen. All right, Truth Teller. So Miami currently has 29 verbal commits. I think they're going to be able to hold on to all of the guys that they have committed. I know that there have been they've been playing defense on guys like Ashari Charles and Jordan Campbell, who other teams are trying to flip. But I think Miami's going to hold on to their guys, and I think they're going to add at least one more on signing day, and that is 4-star linebacker Carson Bush out of St. Xavier in Louisville, Kentucky. He was committed for a while to Louisville. He recently decommitted. And then Luke Fickell at Wisconsin, lawyer in Luke Fickell, tried to sneak in and get Carson Bush, but Bush visited Miami on Sunday. The crystal balls have now been coming in from Miami to land Bush, and I think they're going to get this over the finish line. He's a 4-star linebacker, Bruce, 6'3", 225 pounds. And I think Miami needs this. You know, I know Jordan Campbell's listed as a linebacker, but I think he's more of an edge. I think Carson Bush would be an important member of this class if Miami can get this over the finish line. Yeah,
you're right. I agree with that. They need those guys. But they have Wiley, who didn't play much this year, but he's another tall linebacker with a lot of range. He's good. Yeah. And he can come after the quarterback. He can cover. So, they need experience. But who knows? Maybe these kids will all play in the bowl game, I'm sure.
Yeah, I would imagine a lot of the freshmen would play. And it depends on, which game you're in, how many guys opt out and stuff. So, yeah, I mean, Wiley's had injury troubles this year, so I don't know how healthy he is right now.
Yeah. So anyway, last week I talked about helping some of you guys out there with if you can't see your kids. But I had 3 calls this week already from people that saw awesome. That, and I'm helping 2 of them. It's important because, like I said, you guys all know I lost my son. I'll never see him again. And yet you got these women out there, no offense to women, but there's a lot of them out there who use these kids as pawns. I'm calling a guy now. They just think they own the child. No, you don't. Under Florida law, you do, which means if you have a child out of wedlock, it's the mother's child until the father files a paternity action, serves the mother, and then eventually gets an order from the judge saying you're the biological father. And guess what, ma'am? He's got rights.
Yes, sir.
And there's a presumption of 50-50 in this state. So forgetting about, I'll let you see him if you give me $50. No, that's BS. The statute is a presumption of 50-50. If you can't watch your kid half the time, she'll get more time. But if you can, and you're not a criminal, you're not a drug addict or whatever, you're going to get your kid, whether she likes it or not.
Yeah.
So I'm willing to help you guys, and I discount my fees because, like just like Alex, I don't need the money.
Yeah, we're both wealthy. I mean, we don't need that.
No, but I want to help you guys. So you could reach me either at my email, which is talkingdivorce, all one word, talkingdivorce@aol.com. Yes, it's AOL because I've been doing this for 42 years. And,
Wow.
and yeah, I passed the bar in 1983. So it's a
Wow.
long time. And I've given out my phone number. I really don't care. Some guys have called me up. Some have texted me. I love your show. And they don't need me, but they were all happy to write to me. It's fine.
That's awesome.
So my number is 954. It's a Broward 954-258-2525. 954-258-2525. I'll be happy to talk to you guys, whether it's about football, Alex's sex life, or whatever you want to talk about.
Well, that's a short conversation.
Oh, really? Okay. Short or small? No, I'm only kidding. I'm going to get in trouble now.
I plead the fifth. Could be either or both of those things.
Would it be funny if your wife calls me and says, "Can I get a divorce?" That would be funny.
I mean, you would be the one she would call, probably.
Really?
And seriously, especially folks this time of year, if you're unable to see your kids, give Bruce a call. It's the holiday season, man. This is all about family and all about togetherness. And I want to send a huge thank you to the Truth Teller for always keeping it real with us. And Bruce, this is not our last show of the year, of course. We're going to have a few more before the new year rolls in, but it might be our last show of the season outside of a bowl game. So I appreciate everything.
Are we on every Tuesday no matter what?
Yeah, we're on every Tuesday. I'm getting sentimental for you're going to be back on here next week, but I'm just saying I want to thank you for another awesome season of great commentary.
You're very welcome. And I do it only because of you. But isn't it weird how we're done and we kept it? And it just seems like 2 weeks ago we were talking about we got to beat Notre Dame. We got to beat Notre Dame.
Yeah, apparently beating Notre Dame means nothing.
What?
You got to beat Notre Dame. Did we have to beat Notre Dame? Because apparently Notre Dame losing to us helps them more than us beating them helps us. So
listen, Mark's been on a lot, but Mark just called me. Well, he just called me, but he calls me all the time. He just told me like the day before yesterday when he was playing there, they got screwed. They would win by a touchdown or a field goal, and they'd move him back.
Yeah,
unheard of.
Yeah.
And he's got 2 national championships, and he still got moved back. This has been going on for years.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I will give you an invite, Bruce, if you want, and just to let people know, I'm going to do another show later on tonight reacting to the college football playoff ranking, and Brian Smith is going to be on with us. So if you want to make a cameo on that as well, let me know.
Just send me the link.
I will.
I mean, I didn't see his show, but they got slaughtered by Florida. They must be thrilled that they're bringing this coach back. I can't even imagine. What are they? 5-7, right?
5-7.
So Florida beat Florida State and Alabama. You would think it's been a great year for them, but it hasn't.
Texas, yeah. Florida State and Texas, they beat.
Texas, right. Let's throw it in me.
We appreciate everybody for making Locked On Canes your first listen.
Yeah, you guys call me, man. I want to help you.
Yeah.
Call me.
Call Bruce.
Me or email me.
Smash that like button, subscribe. We'll talk to you next time on another episode of Locked On Canes. We'll do a CFP reaction show tonight right here on the #1 Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.